One of the first things that I did when I got to Summit was join a Connect group, a women's Connect group. I got connected through a friend named Courtney. We had just met, and we were actually kind of set up on a blind friend date. We just found out we were soul sisters, and she was about to start a new Bible study, Beth Moore's Believing God. And I had never heard of Beth Moore before that study, and really just changed my life, and I think it changed everyone's life that was in that study, and that was our very first one.
To be honest, at the beginning, when I first started going to Summit, I would say the first 4 years I didn't really feel very involved or connected until I joined a Connect group. I was looking for a way to study the Bible because I had never read it before and it was overwhelming to me.
It was Bonnie's first ever Bible study, ever in her whole life. During the first group, the first video we were watching, she was moving farther and farther away from the TV. You could just tell that as she's sitting there that she was like, what is going on? What have I signed up for? And I think because that study was our foundation and kind of our jumping point, I think that really had an impact on our growth and where we are now, because all the girls just really took that message to heart about believing God and taking Him at His word and wanting to share that with others.
I was going through one of the most stressful times of my life, and just through everything, through my faith, through my marriage, and it was just really hard. But on one night, I just really felt God talking through Courtney. He kept saying things like, you need to tell them what you're going through. You need to open up. And I kept holding it in. I just felt like this isn't something I do or I feel comfortable with. So that night was our first social together as a group, and we were going to have frozen yogurt. As I was driving over to the frozen yogurt place, I just knew I needed to say something. And then once we got to the frozen yogurt place, we were all just kind of chatting, and then all of a sudden an ambulance went by, and I said, did you know that an ambulance can get to your house within 3 minutes? And they said, no, how do you know that? And tears just started coming down my face like nonstop, and I could barely talk, kind of like this. But it was the first time in my whole life I've ever told anybody my whole story, what I was going through. Then it was just an amazing time. They all prayed over me, and I accepted Christ in the middle of a frozen yogurt place.
Courtney was blessed with a pregnancy, and so she kind of stepped away from the Connect group, and becoming a Connect group leader was just kind of a natural progression. Just growing up in church and hearing pastors and sermons and leaders in my college ministry, I feel like they would always give examples of their mentors. Everybody would always talk about a mentor. And that was something that I had just always craved, and I wanted that too. I'm like, how do you get these mentors? Where do they come from? In coming to Summit and my former career as a TV news person, whenever someone would hear that, everyone's first response was always, oh, have you met Amanda Ober? And for years, I don't know why our paths just did not cross. And so I would always say, no, but I need to.
I think one of the most beautiful models for spiritual growth and transformation is people coming together in small groups to pursue God, to pursue His Word, to be authentic and vulnerable and share what's going on in their lives with other people who will not only encourage them, but also speak truth and offer wisdom when it's appropriate.
There are just a lot of things that come up that I do not have wisdom on how to handle. And to be able to go to her and ask how to navigate something that I just really don't know how to. And I feel like every time we meet, she just pours so much truth into my life and speaks truth over our group, and a very specific truth, which is just amazing. And it just points to the fact that I think Amanda spends time with God. You know, she's able to answer my questions. She takes her role as a coach very seriously, I believe.
There There was a point last year where her group had gotten pretty large, to the point that she shared some concerns with me about whether or not it was still a really effective place for people to share. And that was when we began having conversations about what it might look like for her group to multiply. Why don't you start looking to identify someone in the group who may be able to rise up and lead a second group?
I approached Bonnie about it, and she said that she would pray about it, but I think that she got a resounding yes. I just think she is the epitome of what a disciple is supposed to be, what a follower of Christ's journey should look like. She came in, she learned, and now she is teaching others. And it has been one of just the greatest joys of my life to get to see that and to walk alongside her. She is so, so special, and to get to see her journey has just been such a privilege.
God has been teaching me to lead this group of women by being really vulnerable and sharing everything about myself and not being shy. Each member holds a lot of value, and leading it, I knew that God would give me the words to pray, and speaking to the women, just depending on Him instead of myself is really what I've learned the most, because that's really the only way to connect with others.
I think that we're never meant to walk with Jesus alone. There's nothing like being in community, meeting regularly with other people who know you. And I trust that if I open up this time in my life and schedule and perhaps in my home, that God's gonna show up.
I think that a Christian community, they're gonna laugh with you and cry with you, but then they're also gonna bring you to Scripture, and they're gonna pray over you. And that's our heart, is just for people to experience true life-giving community.